Hello and welcome to part 4 of my series on cognitive errors and behavioral biases. You can see parts 1, 2, and 3 if you follow these links here below. We all have these issues. They are affecting our forecasting and analysis in negative ways. This is true even if you are aware of them. You must do other things to counteract them. That being said, let's discuss a few of them. The first today is reactive devaluation, and that's the idea that you will react to a plan depending on who gives it to you. So here in this study, we were given disarmament plans. We were told, hey, it's Ronald Reagan's plan. In that case, 90% of the participants liked the plan. Another group was told, hey, this is by analysts that are experts in the field. 80% of the people liked that plan, but when they were told that this plan was actually Gorbachev's plan, then only 44% of participants liked the plan. Again, same plan, different reactions to it, very similar results in a study in Israel when they talked about a peace plan. So depending on whether or not the peace plan was, the Israeli government's idea, the Palestinians' idea, or whether it was hawkish people in the government or dovish people in the government, just depending on your frame, you would, again, same plan, different reactions to it. We probably do the same thing here. We look at lots of different sell-side analysts that maybe read their work. Ones that you like, you'll hate, you'll buy into what they're saying more than the ones you dislike. For whatever reason, keep that in mind. Try to evaluate what they're saying based just on the data. There is something called conservatism bias. The idea here is that we don't properly adjust our thinking when we're given new information. So we like a stock, some negative news comes out, we kind of discount that news, don't really think about it. More negative news comes out, it takes quite a while for us to finally incorporate that into our new thesis. This is true for earnings and true for news. Obviously, if you don't suffer from this bias, then there are clearly actionable ways that you can profit from people that do. Prospect theory, the idea here is that we think about gains and losses differently. We prefer to think about things in terms of gains. We prefer to think about things, being 2/3 full versus, 1/3 empty. In terms of gambling, when it comes to gains, we'll take sure things. When it comes to losses, we would take a riskier gamble. So, for example, given a 100% chance of a gain versus a 95% chance of a better gain, we won't take that gamble. This, of course, is true in the stock market. In fact, in our lives, we really suffer from prospect theory a lot more in stock markets than we do in other aspects of our life. Think about how you think about returns. If you're holding a name that has done well or has done poorly, how you think about this and how if you want to lock those in terms of from paper gains or losses to realized gains or losses. This is very common in investing. There is overconfidence bias. So there's three main ways that this happens. Overestimation. So we just think, we think that we will do a good job at something, whether or not we have skill there. Over precision. So, kind of given a range or confidence intervals, we will create confidence intervals that are really, really too narrow based on the probability that we're assigning it. Over placement. So again, this is more like thinking, hey, am I above average or below average? So in most cases, if you ask a group of people if you're above average or below average, you'll get much more than 50% of people saying that they're above average. For example, in driving, they ask U.S. drivers, are you above average? And only 93% of U.S. drivers think they're above average, which of course is not possible. If you think about investing in particular, people are often under-diversified and trade more than is warranted. Both of these things, of course, lead to worse returns, but we're doing this because we're overconfident. You find this more common, the more confident you are in your investing and trading. Loss aversion, very similar to prospect theory, but here the idea is that we don't want to lose. So it can affect companies. And I want you to think about this for the companies that you're analyzing. They have complex challenges. Are they too risk averse? Maybe they're not innovating as much as they could because they're not because they're so loss averse. And in terms of you as an investor, this does affect things. So maybe you're unwilling to sell a losing stock because you don't want to lock in the loss. Maybe you will sell a winning stock too early because you want to lock in the gain as opposed to letting it run. Think about these things as you invest. Again, just being aware of these things will not solve the problem. You need to come up with actionable plans to counteract these biases and these cognitive errors. You need to engage your system to brain to get around these things as at least a first step. Thanks so much for listening. There will be one or two more of these because there are a million of these things that we do all as humans. Thanks so much for listening.